Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in to Hoist the Colors on this Wednesday, May 1st edition of the show. We are live. 94.3 The Game, live on YouTube, Facebook, and also on video via X. I was waiting for us to pop up. Stephen Igo here, Joe Samson in studio, and Scott Rogers, Scooter, filling in for Philip Pilkington, who is out with some family things. We wish the best of Philip. Joey Football in studio. It's not a Friday.
It's not.
Is this a Joey Football Wednesday?
Does that roll off the tongue?
It
Can
doesn't.
we say that? Scooter,
Football
can
Wednesday.
we call it a Football Wednesday? Yeah, Scooter just gave me the no.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, he said yeah? Well, okay.
Sources tell me this could be your final ever appearance in studio on 94.3 The Game.
Could be.
And we have not confirmed that yet, but first off, we had Casey Romali on the show yesterday. He's graduating this weekend. Congrats to him. Joe Samson also graduating as a master's student, correct?
Yeah.
How's it feel, man?
I don't know why they let me pass. I'm pretty dumb, Igo. You know that firsthand.
Nah, I
ate
think
a
you're
shoe,
brilliant.
for God's sakes.
I am surprised you made it to this point after digesting that shoe.
I'm an extraterrestrial.
I mean, I agree with that. You're
Yeah.
certainly a different breed, not from Earth.
No.
But we
Not
enjoyed
from
having you on. No, in all seriousness, man, you've been great ever since we started the show on Hoist the Colors, and enjoyed covering you. Quality walk-on. From quality walk-on to quality on-air
Wow.
talent.
Put that in my LinkedIn.
Now a master's graduate of East Carolina. My hope is to keep having you part of the show somehow, but obviously the real world calls. And you're job hunting, so
Yeah.
best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd love to stick around. This has been an extremely fun thing to start doing. Obviously, hobbies turn into passions, and this is one of them. It still keeps me in touch in some form of way with the game, but also a clean enough break where I'm not itching and watching thousands of hours of film like a GA locked in a little room in May right now who hasn't seen the sun in 4 days. But, I'm just thankful for the opportunity.
No doubt. Well, we've enjoyed having you on, man, and I don't think this will actually be your last appearance on the show. So, Joey Football is what Bruce Willis says on YouTube, and he also says woo. So you have at least one fan. Bruce Willis is a fan.
Thanks, man. I love Die Hard.
Yep. I'm pretty sure this is also Buck Wild on our Hoist the Colors message board, so there's no telling what he's under the influence
It's an
of right
unrelated with Bruce Willis now
Yeah.
popping up. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
now. No.
I disagree.
I mean,
It takes place during Christmas. There's a Christmas tree in the lobby.
It probably, but it's not like it's Christmas. I want to watch Die Hard.
That's.
But I mean,
that's
it's a valid debate.
It's a fair question.
What do you think, Scooter? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I'm not really a movie person to begin with, so I'm going to plead the fifth on this.
Scooter is not a movie person. He's not a professional sports fan. Outside of the Atlanta Braves,
Oh God!
Oh,
what's
gosh.
happened to your Braves,
What happened?
who have lost the first two games to the Mariners and the series? Seattle going for the sweep today. It's a real good thing, Scooter, that we did not make that bet, because otherwise you'd be paying up right now.
Probably so. And I was also asleep when the game ended last night because
I was as well.
it started at 9:40 because of your West Coast team.
Do you want them to start at 6:40 for you Atlanta Braves fans out there?
Yes. Also, Braves fans in Atlanta cannot watch Atlanta Braves baseball right now because Comcast and Valley Sports cannot get along at the moment.
I feel like that's the case with every MLB team.
Yeah.
There's some sort of dispute.
We had this
on TV.
conversation. I can't watch the Orioles right now play the Yankees. We're in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
And that's why I have the 680 The Fan app. to listen
Literal
to Ben Ingram.
hours away from Baltimore, Maryland, and I can't watch the Yankees play the Orioles because it's too close.
It's too close. It's 6
Bring
hours.
MLB to Raleigh.
I do have to say, I'm a big fan of the Braves announcer. I don't know if it's TV or radio, but whenever they do the play-by-play highlights on MLB TV, he's really good. So,
They're both really good, so you can
Yeah,
give props to both of them.
yeah, usually they play, they dub like the radio and TV, which I really like MLB highlights because they have the play-by-play call over top of the highlights, which is like the one good thing MLB does with TV in their highlights,
so you
because
can
everything
play-
else they mess up. By the way, how are the St. Louis Cardinals doing, Joe? I know
I saw Burley hit a homer.
Burley
Other than
now
that,
2 home runs.
I mean, Lance Lynn is 78 years old. Sonny Gray's still hurt. I
Wait, is
couldn't.
Joe a Cardinals fan?
No,
Absolutely
Joe
not.
hates the Cardinals.
Oh,
with
okay.
I
passion.
despise the Cardinals.
I was going to say, since when did you have two teams?
I do not have two teams. If I did have two teams, it would be the Rockies for support of Zach Agnos. Shout out.
The Rockies are
But
7-22.
he's currently with Spokane, so I don't even have to follow the Rockies because they suck just as bad.
People with two teams irritate me.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine who has like 6.
I have a friend who is an Ohio State
He's-
and UNC fan.
Yeah, no,
which I
he,
think
he
is
has
gosh.
serious.
3 different colleges.
That person's not a real person.
2 different baseball teams. He's got a football team he roots for in a different state, a basketball team that's in a different state, but his baseball team is in another state. Like, it's just, pick one. Pick one and pick. Like, mine's a little confusing. Yeah, I'm New York all the way, except for I'm not a Rangers fan, I'm a Canes fan, because that's just how things developed with Rotutu and Cam Ward and 2012 All-Star Weekend in Raleigh. But other than that, like, I'm pretty consistent in the New York thing. You can't be a Mariners fan and a Cowboys fan and a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, to name a few. Like, that just doesn't – there's no continuity.
It's all different sales tax.
That's also true.
You're saying this with the Mariners and Broncos fan beside you, though.
No, that's different.
But I am also a Nuggets fan. At least
Yeah, like, that's –
I am an admitted bandwagon Nuggets fan. Not like a lot of the Carolina Hurricanes bandwagon fans out there who will not admit that they are bandwagon fans. But
There's a lot of them.
this
How,
is true.
how do you feel? You're a legit Canes
I'm
fan?
a legit Canes fan. I went when it was $1 hot dog night, and the old joke, oh, no, I had 2 Canes tickets, and somebody broke in and left 4 more. So I've been there for a while. It was good. I loved us going up 3-1. Didn't love them coming back 3-3 and us having to put it away in the third. But however you get out of it, we won a game on the road, which is already a huge step compared to the years before. And the Panthers don't look like they were last year, and I think we're a better team, and I think the Rangers was an interesting matchup.
Yeah, the
So-
Rangers, as a New York guy, are you
No.
any ties to the Rangers? Or
I had ties to the Rangers when I was like a kid with Lundqvist and Ryan McDonough and Joe Girardi and Daniel Girardi, because Joe Girardi went to one of the games back in 2010, I think it was, for the Stadium Series for the Yankees, and the Rangers like blended. And then after that, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
I got very confused there for a moment when you brought up Joe
No, there
Girardi.
was
and we
so
were
Joe
talking about
Girardi
hockey.
was the Yankees manager, was a Rangers fan when they had the Stadium Series, like dropped the puck, and then Daniel Girardi was the defenseman for the Rangers, and then he went to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's an Italian last name, and up there they just kind of throw those around.
this is Hoist the Colors. We're starting off all over the place.
This is an ECU
This
show.
is what we usually do with Joe, and I like it because it's a departure from our usual. We got to talk about ECU, which we will, I promise. The transfer portal has closed. We'll hit on that in a minute. And speaking of ECU, I did want to point out, not to bring up the St. Louis Cardinals again. Sorry, Joe. But
Bring
Alec
up Burley.
Burleson,
Bring up Burley.
over his last 15 games, gentlemen, batting .351 with 2 homers, 8 RBI, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and a OPS over 950. So
Insane.
give Alec Burleson more bats.
He's been great.
Stop playing these old guys or these crappy young guys.
Don't even.
Play Alec Burleson. Hit his second home run of the season last
Yeah,
night.
should be him and Nolan Gorman in the top of that lineup.
Yeah.
Arenado is decent at times, and Goldschmidt's been the most consistent, but like, move Burley up. Burley should be
Please.
in the 5-hole.
He needs to
At
be
least.
getting regular ABs, and the Orioles need to call up Connor Norby because clearly the
Yeah.
Jackson Holiday
Quadruple
experiment
A player,
did
Jackson
not work.
Holiday. Oh, yeah, he's slashing 327 in AAA. So is Miguel Andujar.
Before we move on
Anyway.
to ECU and talk about the portal closing in football, Bruce Willis wants to know, has Joey ever boxed? Have you ever boxed, Joey?
If
Not-
he has, he probably doesn't remember.
This is true.
It's a good one. No, never boxed. Did some wrestling like in high school, and then did like 2 or 3 MMA camps, just because at that age you're like, yeah, I'm bulletproof. But no, never boxed enough where I could consider myself a boxer.
Can we see Joe and Buck Wild box?
Yes, because Buck Wild says he would like to train Joey to be the next YouTube boxer celebrity.
There we go. Take down Logan Paul, and then I'll go to the WWE.
He wants to know what
There we
your
go.
height and weight is, if you're willing to share.
I'll share my height. 6'4", 305. Fighting weight.
6'4", 305, quality
Heavyweight,
walk
baby.
on.
Quality walk on.
All right, the transfer portal has closed for college football. I think today is the last day for the basketball transfer portal through midnight tonight. Coaches are able to sleep a lot easier now. Mike Houston able to sleep much easier because Savone Rebel stayed out of the transfer portal despite being recruited into the portal, according to my sources, for dating back to the winter. We'll talk to Savone this Friday. He'll be on the show from 12 to 12:30. So I'll ask him kind of, how do you ignore all that noise, that nonsense? We'll get into that. And ECU, look, they lost some players to the portal, Shane Calhoun being the most notable of this period. Outside of that, Omega Blake and Kayshawn Sapp came in as transfers. They're already out. But I think they were kind of like, it was a locker room situation, Joey, according to my sources. I don't think they were meshing the best. You had some younger guys, Rico Watkins, Camaro Edmonds, who's been in the program a while, Kendarius Small, who came in mid-year, was kind of down on the depth chart. So I don't want to say best case scenario because I think Shane Calhoun stays in that best case scenario, but probably about as good as you can hope for in this day and age.
Absolutely. Your high leverage positions is really what you're kind of looking for when it comes to the portal. And obviously we went and got 2 quarterbacks. That was a big thing for us in the offseason and trying to bring them in. But you're not losing a Jeter. You didn't lose one of the quarterbacks because of the competition. You lose one running back. Yes, he was productive, but it's not a Bond. It's not a gun. It's not Rajay going for his 5th year somewhere else. They're very replaceable assets in the way that you look at that. And I mean that in no disrespect to anybody that transferred. Camaro's a good friend. But when you look at it as far as numbers on the page, you want to have the, like Moneyball, recreated in the aggregate.
Yeah.
So you're trying to recreate a little bit here. You've got 2 freshman running backs that came in that you can replace with Camaro in that role. You're hoping Bond is healthy all year, so you're not really going to have a 4 running back stable. And then you've got your bruiser in Gunn, but you've got Rajay who can kind of go in both of those different ways. And with the new offense, who knows how the run game looks. So I agree.
I think right now they're around 81, 82 scholarships. They did pick up Carson Jones, a transfer from Houston, an interior offensive lineman. Any positions with those last few scholarships you would like to see added depth to as you kind of evaluate the roster today? I still think you got to add a tackle if possible.
You can never have enough tackles.
The problem is everybody is trying to find them.
God only makes so many creatures that are 6'8", 315, and run around like a ballerina. But like that's what makes tackles. That's what makes them so versatile and so impressive. And that's why we saw like 4 of them go in the first round on Thursday. But it's one of those things where, do you want to pay for the tackle? Do you want to develop a tackle? Do you want to go get a JUCO kid and try and do that experiment again like you just tried to? Billy Malavik panned out for you pretty well. Obviously, some things separated him on that side. But you've had some good showings from junior college players that could lead you to believe in that. Julius Wood was a junior college player. We can go get that pipeline. I don't necessarily think you need to add anybody. I think the roster's a pretty safe space right now. I'd love to add a tackle. Obviously, you'd love to add another tight end with Ferguson also now hitting the portal. I want a little more depth. You've got, I think it's 3 scholarship tight ends on the roster right now.
Yeah.
3 scholarship tight ends on the roster right now.
4 when they're adding Nick Slojic, a freshman. But still, I think you want to add another guy.
But you want to add another depth guy, God forbid, so he can be a special teams player in that punt unit or something like that. But I don't necessarily think you need another DB. DBs are always good to have. You may want another safety just in case a Devin goes down, just in case a Nash goes down, one of those types of things. But I think the roster's in a pretty good spot. If it shows up, it's like a extra present on Christmas morning. You're never upset to get it.
Doesn't feel like a roster coming off a 2-win season. It feels like, look, I don't think it's a automatic 8, 9, 10 win football team, but I think you're in a good spot, all things considered. Obviously, Team Boneyard, the collective has helped Joe, but the coaching staff, they've still developed some pieces, especially defensively, keeping that group together. So, I feel like the roster has been put in a stable enough spot. Yeah, you still got to add a few pieces, develop a few guys, but they could have a pretty good bounce-back season after the way the offseason's kind of shaken out.
Hands down. Anytime you hear about the 2-win season, you hear about them getting rid of the whole regime. And I think that speaks to the culture and the faith that not only John Gilbert has with the university and Coach Houston, and Coach Harrell did an unbelievable job last year doing what he did. And you saw Jeremy Lewis, who went to the draft, and Julius Wood, who went to the draft, who should have been drafted, but that's another discussion. Those 2 key pieces on a 2-win team are still getting looks because of the production they're putting out and the way the defense holds. And you had multiple opportunities last year where if you score 1 more touchdown, you're not sitting at that record. And I think it speaks to just the way that they carry themselves and how they handle that kind of, not pressure, but that kind of stress as far as the season goes.
Matthew Dragas says on YouTube, I'm supposed to be in a meeting, so I love that. He says, I'm supposed to be in a meeting. So I have to listen into this later. When are we going to start signing basketball transfers? Well, Matthew, that is an ongoing period. I mean, they have committed 2. They've gotten 2 committed.
2 committed.
They feel like they're close with a 3rd. And it's just, I think through the next few weeks, you'll see some signings there. I mean, there's a pecking order. ECU is trying to work through that, but I think you'll start to see some more news soon. If we don't hear anything through this weekend or the next weekend, I'm a little concerned, but I think they're close on a couple of guys, so that's what I'll say there. And today, I think, is the last day of the basketball portal transfer entry. So you still have guys going in.
Right.
And much like football, Joe, there's a pecking order in football and basketball with NIL.
Yeah, I mean, this is the part that kind of separates people's perspective. The ECU mid-major conversation doesn't apply in 2 sports mainly because football, we wind up being in the same conversation as a lot of those big schools. And baseball, we're sitting pretty high at number 10 of the country, in the top 10. Obviously, there's 8 or 5, depending on which poll you're looking at. Basketball, you're waiting. Houston left the conference. Now Houston's the Big 12, but they had the poll for the longest time. Cincinnati was in the conference. They have poll now in the Big 12 also. You're just kind of waiting to see how these other mid-majors play out. The Arkansas shakeup now has pulled a lot of guys into it with Cal leaving Kentucky. UConn's always a conversation about going to get somebody. Indiana State now with the NIT semifinal or final loss is another mid-major program that's pulling in views. It's just kind of waiting and seeing what you get at this point.
Yeah, it's just a trickle-down effect, and guys are trying to ask for a lot of money that maybe they're not going to get paid, but holding out till it doesn't become a reality. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will transition, and I want to talk NFL draft with Joey Football. We'll also talk about the guys who are heading to the NFL from ECU and how ridiculous it is that Julius Wood did not get drafted. We'll be right back. This is Hoist the Colors.
New Toyotas, 0 down and only $369 a month at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Buy with 0% or get Corollas, $369 a month with 0 down. This is not a lease, you own it. Plus, get our Greenville Advantage at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Ready to save thousands with a great rate. Get 0% financing at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Shop our massive inventory of new Toyotas, available as low as 0%. Hurry to Greenville Toyota today, where our volume saves you money.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
matey.
Back to the show with Steve and I go on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back. Hoist the Colors here on this Wednesday, May 1st edition of the show. Scott Rogers producing with Philip Pilkington out, dealing with some family stuff. Joe Samson, graduate, already a graduate, soon to be a two-time graduate.
Dang.
Of East Carolina, master's degree. Strategic communications.
Yeah.
You're strategically communicating every time you're on the show.
I try to.
You do a
Try to
great job.
utilize my degree.
All right, guys, let's talk NFL draft. Scooter, I know you're a big fan of the draft, so what were your biggest takeaways?
Oh, yeah, I had a blast. Can't tell you anything about it.
So you just
Of course, also, we were in Memphis. I was focused on a baseball game.
That's fair.
I mean, that's fair.
That's fair.
What about Thursday night when you were just chilling in the hotel?
I was preparing for a baseball game and also catching up on sleep.
So you're just not an NFL guy.
So what
I sent you the picture of Rob Lowe wearing the NFL hat. That's me.
He's
a shield. You're a shield guy. It's
That's
okay.
right.
So what I'm gathering is if Scooter's not preparing for a baseball game, he's catching up on sleep.
Normally, during the months of between February and June, yes.
And if he's not catching up on sleep, he's preparing for a baseball game.
No, not between the months of February and June. Well, outside the months of February and June.
So you just don't. Have you ever been to an NFL game?
I have not.
Field trip.
I want to go, obviously. I just never had a chance to.
Did the Broncos play the Panthers this year? Is it part of the 4-year?
Maybe Philip can get
I
us
don't
tickets.
know. I think they played last year.
Was it
Or
last
the year before?
That was 2 years.
They were so bad. Both of them are. I don't even have any interest in going. Scooter, do you watch the Super Bowl?
I do.
Okay. I was about to kick you off the show.
I do. I watch the NFL. I watch the NFL. It's just
you
I'm
watch
not
it from
a
the Shield
diehard
perspective.
of it. Right.
He's
Like
just
I'm not
sitting there in
cheering
his
for a certain team on
NFL
Sundays.
hat.
Right.
You're missing out in life.
Well, who am I going to? I'm not going to cheer for the Panthers right now. Sorry, Jim
Absolutely
Soke.
not.
But
No. You're an Atlanta guy. You root for the Falcons.
They
and
suck.
They're 8th pick.
They have 2 quarterbacks now.
Morons.
2 quarterbacks is better than no quarterbacks. Although they
No, it's
say
not.
if you have 2
No,
quarterbacks,
it's not.
you have none.
Exactly. Steve Logan was on the pregame show and said the same thing. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Well, ECU has 2 quarterbacks.
Well, this is a different scenario. But
Okay.
look at what happened last year.
This is true. NFL draft.
All up.
Let's start with ECU. Is ECU disrespected by the NFL scouts? Because Keaton Mitchell, Jaquan McMillan were 2 of the best players I've ever seen at ECU. Went undrafted. Julius Wood falls into that category for me. Like, undoubtedly different type of dude. Like, you just watch a guy and know that he's going to be playing on Sundays. For me, Julius Wood falls in that category. Why are these guys continuing to get overlooked by the league?
In the most respectful way possible, because everybody in the NFL is a different kind of dude.
Yeah.
And that's, people get so caught up in the first round grade or the second round grade or the third round grade. The Julius Woods and the Jeremy Lewises were studs in college. The Keaton Mitchells of the world were studs in college. Keaton was on pace to what could have been, if they projected the right way, all of the games. He would have been the leading rusher in the NFL. But it didn't happen. He gets his run on special teams, and then he makes a play in London, and then he gets a chance to carry the ball. It's a thing as far as intangibles and measurements. I mean, we heard all these stories about Joe Alt, who is 6'8" and 3/4, with I think it's an 84-inch wingspan or something like that, or something ridiculous. He went 5th overall, but he was in Notre Dame, so people think all of a sudden Notre Dame is going to be this heir apparent to every first-round pick. Sam Hartman was undrafted. Sam Hartman was the quarterback under Joe Alt because the measurables weren't there, and the talent may be there, but you can't teach size. So Julius was a little too small to be a box safety. He's a little too slim, but he's got great coverage skills, so he can play in the back end like that, but he's not really long enough to play as a corner in that true nickel role, so they're going to have to find a spot for him in like a roll-down safety type thing. The Keaton thing was too short. He ran great at the combine. He did some great things, but it just comes down to measurables and being able to go against the Aaron Donalds, the Hassan Reddicks, the Miles Jacks. I mean, just alone the Josh Allens, whichever Josh Allen you choose.
I can understand Keaton to an extent because he's smaller, but in the running back's an undervalued position because they get beat up, which is a whole other deal. But, like, he would just make guys look silly, and he did the same thing in the NFL. Like, I could have watched that and say that's going to translate to the NFL. Jaquan, like, he just covers dudes. Now, he's, again, small, but he has proven that he's going to play in the league and can play in the league. And I think Julius, at the least, is going to be a good special teams player because of his tackling ability. Like, he doesn't miss tackles.
No.
He's an elite run defender, and I know he's undersized to an extent, but he's just tough, man.
He's like
go watch
Brian
the
Clark.
Michigan tape. I mean, he was everywhere. So I don't know. It kind of bothers me. Like, so you think if Julius Wood played for Alabama or like somebody of that stature, he would still go undrafted, or is it
the Alabama conversation gets a little different just because of their safety literally was the last pick for the Jets. I don't necessarily know if it's a college thing. I think he was too small. Like they're looking for a certain measurable. They have the formula they're looking for. It depends on personnel also and coordinators and the new guy McDonald and Seattle is looking for what worked for the Ravens last year, but the Ravens might be looking in a different spot with a new DC. So it also comes down to fit, and it's just about opportunity and luck. I mean, I don't necessarily know if him going to Alabama instantly makes him a more attractive prospect, but they said the same thing about Drake May, and he went number 3 overall from UNC.
So Julius Wood winds up with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You feel like that's a good fit? How do you think I honestly have not studied their depth chart. I don't know if you have, but the good thing about going on draft is you can kind of pick where you land.
And that's the other thing is you're not going into a bad situation. For Jeremy and Julius' sake, if you don't think it's the best opportunity, you're calling all that last day of the draft to find out who's looking for you, who wants to bring you in as an undrafted free agent, who's bringing you in as a minicamp invite. All those conversations are playing out so you can choose your best option and you can choose the best type of fit. With the Jets defense, it made the most sense for Jeremy considering he's like a stand-up edge rusher, can go in that Jermaine Johnson type role with his hand in the dirt or play back. But he's also going to be a special teams guy, and these guys know that. You have to do anything to make the team. Julius's case gets interesting. I'm not extremely familiar with the new DC's system. I believe it's Mike Zimmer, if I'm not mistaken, in
let me Google it.
In Dallas now. I think he's the DC since Dan Quinn took the job with the Commanders.
Correct.
Had to double check. Commanders, the football team,
not Commodores.
not the left hand.
Commodores.
The Commodores. So it's an interesting fit for him, but I think given his ability to play in coverage and what they run with a lot of cover 3, if it is Zimmer's system when he was with the Vikings, it was a great fit for their safeties and Harrison Smith. So I think he fits into that role, but it's also going to be special teams. It's about the special teams aspect of it. It's the old special teams coordinator, I believe, from the Rams from that Hard Knock season, and he does some crazy stuff, and Julius is a freak athlete. So,
all right, I'll ask you this.
What's up?
Would Lucas Thompson have been an NFL player?
Gosh, I mean, he never even showed up, so it's hard to say. He definitely was a 4-star talent.
What could have been?
I'm going to say no, because a lot of the NFL, too, comes down to work ethic, commitment, and intelligence. You got to be really smart.
I mean, it helps when you show up for things. I know some people that don't show up for some things.
Yeah, no, you've got to be extremely cerebral in your approach in football for the NFL because it's like 8,000 level classes. It's like past what you thought was the highest level, and then all of a sudden coaches are thinking 10 moves ahead, and there's plays that go, with this coverage you run this route, with this coverage you run that route. If this happens, you're bending this, and this guy's running a different route. There's checks. There's 2 plays every single time. There's cans. There's checks. Check with me's. There's so many different calls. It just gets to be a mouthful.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and that's just reading it as a civilian.
My brain is still trying to comprehend what all you just said.
If you don't have the mental capacity to play and read defenses or execute, what you're seeing on the fly, you're not going to last long at all in the NFL. You can only get so far off talent. There is a huge cerebral part of it that a lot of people don't realize is a huge part of the NFL evaluation process. All right, Jarrett Garner is getting a mini camp invite or something with the Chiefs.
Yep.
I've had a lot of questions about why is this happening. He never played for ECU. It's just because of his testing numbers.
Fast.
And his size.
You can't teach speed because when it comes down to it, yes, he wasn't necessarily the most productive with ECU, but
he barely played.
He flies. And you look at the special teams tape and he flies. And there are some guys in the NFL that'll never catch a pass. and will run down with a helmet on and go get smoked on kickoff or on punt and make a good chunk of money that's life-changing money for their families. But there are others that just go to minicamp and then get to try and go to other realms, NFL Europe, professional football in Mexico, arena football, USFL now, the UFL now.
It's one of those things with Garner. Scouts come to pro day.
Yeah.
He's 6'3", runs a 4.4.
Mm-hmm.
Looks the part. They're like, why does this guy not play? Let's invite him to rookie minicamp, see what happens, see if we can unlock some potential.
Absolutely.
And if it doesn't work, then he's, send him home.
It's a business. At the end of the day, think of the investment more of like an interview. It's just like bringing him in for an interview than it is giving him a full job.
Yeah.
Kind of like the guy in baseball that throws 96 but can't throw it across his plate. Take
Correct.
a chance on him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We need teacher control. We can fix him.
Jalen Johnson signed with the Chargers, and he is another guy. Tested well. He went to Georgia Pro Day, ran well there. And so he signs an undrafted free agent deal with the Chargers, and that's an interesting fit too.
Extremely productive guy as far as that goes. And then Ladd McConkey being out there also to kind of get on the table, I'm sure, for his old teammate and be like, we won a national title together. He had some interesting situations, but he was extremely productive that year. He had Holton at quarterback. As far as being a slot guy, he can play in that in-between role. I think it fits him and serves him well. There's not a ton of receiving talent out there in L.A. anyway, with them shipping off Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston. I mean, I have so many. He couldn't catch COVID in the hospital right now, but that's just kind of how things go. So it's going to be interesting for him to have that chance. And then with it not being a true draft pick, there's also a lot of other opportunities they can go for because they don't want to think about you getting hurt or you playing other positions. He could kind of try and find a role in like a hybrid position as well as that.
All right. Jay says it still remains to be seen if Keaton, going back to our early conversation, can play a season and remain healthy. And, I mean, that's the thing with his size. I mean, durability was always a question.
Yeah. I mean,
but he had kind of a serious freak knee injury.
It's a freak injury. He tore his knee up. But, like, it's a non-contact injury that hurt him. If you're talking about the shoulder injury that sidelined him because he wasn't blocking properly in preseason, I understand that. But look at how many I can count on my hand how many running backs were hurt last year that finished out the rest of the season from injuries versus the ones that took out the full season. I mean, McCaffrey was really the only one that stayed truly healthy the
running
entire
backs just
time.
get hurt.
Yeah, running backs
valued.
are always hurt. It's why they're not valued. Todd Gurley's out of the league. He was an MVP vote getter in 2019, I think it was, when they played the Patriots. They were talking about him winning the MVP that year, and all of a sudden he's out of football now. It's just one of the most undervalued and received positions of all because you get a draft pick every year. Why would I pay somebody I can go get another one?
Hank Hinton.
Oh, boy. I'm
Texted
fired.
The boss man.
He says, all right, I'm getting Scooter Panthers tickets next year.
Yes, sir.
How many games you going to,
There
Scooter?
we go.
Well, let's.
Can we
Depending
get
how many tickets we get.
Can we get Scooter in the box with Dave Tepper?
I'd rather be in the
Did y'all
box
see
with
what
Jim
Dave
Szoke.
Tepper did with the where he walked in and took the guy's hat off?
If Dave Tepper took my Jets hat off in public, I'm fighting him on the spot. I don't care if he burns down my house like he did to his old boss.
Well, if he takes my hat
don't
off,
care.
it would more than likely be a Team Boneyard hat, which means David Tepper would not like East Carolina.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back and
Fight Dave Tepper.
We'll talk about fighting Dave Tepper. We'll also talk about any guys on the roster currently who could get drafted this time next year. We'll discuss that. More thoughts on the NFL draft and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligator.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
What's happening?
Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, Wednesday, May 1st. It is a fun show thus far on a football Wednesday.
Yeah,
doesn't have the same ring to it, but Joe Samson in studio. We got a couple questions from Mr. Juan's World on YouTube. We'll ask you, and Scott Rogers is producing. And
Hello.
We'll get his take on the NFL. Big guy.
That was my Corey Gore impersonation.
Big Shield guy.
Big Shield guy. Loves the NFL.
How do you feel about the NBA, Scooter?
Oh God, don't even get me started.
Who's your favorite NBA team?
I don't have one.
Have you ever watched an NBA game?
Not really. Maybe 5 minutes collectively. And that's it.
Not even like the NBA Finals? And I'm not a big NBA guy either, but.
No.
All right.
Not at all.
This has been Scooter's.
This is the NBA
interest.
with Scooter Rogers.
Let's discuss, before we get into Juan's questions.
Juan Soto?
Juan Soto is very good at baseball, but this is a different Juan.
Different one. Sorry.
So the draft has come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Always like looking ahead to next year. Could ECU have anybody drafted? I think there's one main candidate. He's going to be in studio Friday. Savone Rebel. He has the length.
Yeah.
He's got the speed.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of the prototype.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else on the roster you could see being drafted next season?
There's two asterisks, first off, and that's because Chase Soul and Lamp are juniors.
J.D. Lampley.
No, Lamp.
Andrew Wilson Lamp.
Andrew Wilson Lamp, yeah. J.D. Lampley is another conversation as far as his height and measurables go, because at that size, it's very difficult to play DN in the league unless you look like J.J. Watt.
This whole time you said Lamp. I thought you were talking about Lampley.
No,
that makes a lot more sense.
I agree. I had the same wavelength there.
Lampley is, now I'm getting messed up. Lamp is your prototypical corner, too.
Lamp is 6'3", all of it, long, great coverage guy. Plays very well in the zone schemes of it, with a lot of man pressures coming up this season. We'll see how he plays in the back hip and that trail technique that they're looking for at the next level now with all these crazy things they do on the back half. So he's the asterisk. Chase, obviously, same thing with CJ. Where does he project at the next level as far as route running, physicality? Can he play at the top of the route? Is he looking for the flag? Is he going to make the contested catch? And we'll see that answer a lot more this season with a little bit different offense. Obviously, in the past, it's been a little different to do it with some of the personnel and the play calling you had, so that'll be the answer for him. Savone is the immediate answer of, he could be drafted for sure. There's not a huge type of disconnect as far as that goes, but the other thing you have to think about with the draft is Deontay Johnson and Elijah Morris. I think Deontay's got a better chance as opposed to Eli. Eli's always been told this, and he won't hit me for saying it when he sees me in public. He is a little small. He's undersized. That's what everybody's always told him. For God's sakes, he played at 260 his freshman year as a nose guard and dominated. But that's just what you kind of have to deal with. You're getting the rollout that God gave you, and you have to try and make the most of it. I think those are really the only true candidates. Obviously, Hauser, given what happens, or Garcia, given what happens just with the experience and that type of no. But running back's always a difficult thing to project. Bond's a little small. Marlon and Rajay aren't the fastest as compared to some of those other guys like the Braylon Allens that get drafted, or the Bijan Robinsons that went last year. Those type of prototypical backs are always a difficult thing to try and discuss. So there's a couple for sure, but it's going to be an interesting thing to see how it plays out this year.
Winston Wright Jr., how do you feel about him? How are slot guys valued? You got to be pretty dynamic.
Winston's got a good chance also. It remains to be seen how productive he can be. Obviously, slot guys are extremely dynamic. You're seeing less of the true slot, though, in the NFL. The Tyler Sneeds, the Wes Welkers, those Danny Amendola guys are few and far between these days. You get a big physical receiver who can play in the slot, and now you're just kind of moving things around. The NFL receivers are truly positionless, and that's the thing that's really been the takeaway over the last few years between the A.J. Browns and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith was an outside guy. They trade for A.J. Brown. Now he becomes an inside guy. So it all depends about your personnel and your play calling, but he's definitely got a legitimate chance. He's an explosive guy, game changer as far as his ability. So with some production, I'd look for his name.
So there's your rundown against Savon Rebel.
Yeah.
He'll be going to his senior year, so big year for him. Soul and Hauser are only redshirt sophomores, but they will be draft eligible after that third year. So, the reason to come back, like Soul, I think if he can continue to add some mass play after the catch or playmaking ability after the catch, I think two big things for him.
A little more yak, Chase.
Yeah, a little more yak, but definitely has some upside. All right. Mr. Wandsworld wants to know, okay, now that the portal is closed, let's get down to the brass tacks here. Who is the starting quarterback this fall? Joe, I'll let you take first crack.
When do we play? When's the first game?
August 31st.
Ask me August 30th. No,
my goodness.
I have been on the record with it. I'll be on the record with it again. I think Garcia is like a composer. He knows where the ball's supposed to go. He lets the offense come to him. He's very free form. One's not there, go to two. Two's not there, go to three. Four's not there, throw the ball away. Hauser's your big gunslinger guy. He's like a Brett Favre type guy, big, physical, just likes to throw it all over the yard. May not necessarily make the right read all the time because he knows his arm talent can kind of make up for some things, so that'll be something to clean up. But Caden Hauser wins you games. Jake Garcia won't lose you games. And Jake's an exceptional young man, and he's a great person, and we've had conversations with him. He carries himself the right way. That's no knock on him. Haven't seen the huge arm from him where I can say he's a game changer in that regard, and maybe I'll be proved wrong, but I think Hauser's your game changer guy.
If I had to make a pick today, I think they're very even, but I will go with Hauser. But just a gut feeling more than anything. I do think it's wide open at this point.
Absolutely wide open.
Scooter, let's get your take. Who's going to be the starting quarterback?
I'm going to say Caden Hauser as well, just based off of, what I've heard and what you guys have said. Of course, Joe's got the kind of inside scoop on some things with it. So, but yeah, based off of the highlights that, I saw from the spring game and everything, it clearly looks like Hauser is the more kind of playmaker quarterback, as you said. And, just gut feeling, too, it seems like it's going to be Hauser, which I will switch gears here for a second. D1 Baseball's doing their podcast right now, the one they do before they release their latest projections, and they currently have East Carolina as the number 8 national seed with Oregon State as the 9 seed.
Boo.
Weren't we number 6 last week?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah.
What happened?
How did ECU go from 6 to 8?
I don't know. I don't have the sound on.
Forgot.
But one interesting thing
But you are watching that while producing the show.
Well, I was checking our Twitter feed to make sure it was up, and I saw they were live.
Go ahead and tell me the puppies
Not
are
with
the
the
2
Ezra
seed.
Sarr title.
Yeah. But one interesting thing here is they have UTSA as a bubble team now.
That helps the RPI.
UTSA just lost a series to Rice.
I'm just telling you what the thing says, Steven.
The thing.
You sure you're on the right week of this thing?
It's live.
Are you sure they're broadcasting
we'll do it
the right
live.
week?
Yes.
Mr. Wandsworth says, what happened with the tight end room? Calhoun would make sense that we know who pulled him into the portal, but Ferguson leaving, Antonio Ferguson, is a head-scratcher. Did they blow too much smoke up Kelly's tail? I don't think so. What's your take here, Joe?
Anytime a new coach comes in, you get a pretty good sense immediately if you're going to stick around or if you're going to have to go and seek another opportunity. I think with Mackey coming in, he's a great person, but like, you know, your prototypical guys, you know what you want. And I don't know if Ferguson and his slimmer build fit that type of role in the new JDB offense. It might have been a conversation of, we don't see you as a main guy. You're going to be, you know, in another developmental year. He may not have wanted that. It may not have been a conversation he wanted to hear. So the Shane thing, he went for a different opportunity because of playing time and where he thought he fit in the offense. I'm sure Ferguson has his own reasons. And as somebody who went through a litany and a barrage of multiple position coaches, you know pretty quick if you're staying in that room or not, and if they're going to try and get rid of you or if you're going to stay around. Lucky for me, I had some great coaches who wanted to keep me around, even though I was not the most talented in the room, and that is shown by the production of the rooms. So the Joey football effect is alive and well. As to the D-line, the most talented on the team, which under the tutelage of Joey football started out. Just want to point it out. And then the tight ends, you know, Savage is coming to his own now. Kelly, you bring in from the portal. Calhoun leaving hurts, but you also have other production as well.
Desiree Riles as well. So Ferguson was probably fourth in line, I mean, realistically.
Riles started, 3 games last year?
Yeah. And Ferguson dealt with an injury in the spring. So it's not ideal. I think they would have liked to seen him develop, but sometimes, like you said, guys don't want to hear, hey, you need to develop this year. And it allows them to now bring in a perhaps older, more experienced blocking tight end in the portal to fill that role. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show. We'll get Joey Football's take on some of the best picks of the draft, how his New York Jets did. He's a big Bo Nix guy, so I may just have him talk about that because I just enjoy hearing somebody say positive things about Bo Nix. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport. Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Interbanks Media and 107.9 WNCT presents Concert on the Common.
1, 2, 3, say, I love beach music.
It's back April 25th with the Embers.
Girls hit you hallelujah, 'cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you.
Don't miss Concert on the Common with the Embers.
Concert on the Common, thanks to Interbanks Media, the City of Greenville, and the Junior League of Greenville.
We'll see you at the show.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master. Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone. Kyle, take your shoes, take your shoes. Yeah, good job. Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild. When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
This is ECU head football coach Mike Houston, and you're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here on this Wednesday, May 1st. Edition of the show, final segment. Scott Rogers is producing. Joey Football in studio.
Yep.
We kind of talked about the first round of the draft last Friday when we had you on, Joe, but as you look back at the draft, I'm not a big fan of like grading teams right after the draft because I think it's stupid.
It's a crapshoot.
Are there any teams though you felt like did well, or any picks that really stuck out to you overall as you kind of look back at the draft? It's like, man, that was a good pick, or they got a steal there.
I'm trying to really debate it here, because there are plenty of people who can look back and say it was a steal, and then it winds up being a bust, and I don't want to be that person. In the first round, I do have to say, considering how things played out, the Vikings had an exceptional draft as far as value goes, getting what they wanted, going and getting who is possibly the best defensive player in the draft, arguably the best pass rusher in Dallas Turner in the 20s. Extremely good draft considering what they gave up and what they had to do. I'm not a huge McCarthy fan. I've been on the record for that for a while now. I don't see it, but I can be wrong, and that's okay. But I think the Vikings had the best draft as far as value goes. The Jets, non-bias, obviously, but Fashanu is a great pick. I thought he was the second best tackle on the board, and for him to fall to 11 was great. I didn't understand the J.C. Latham height. I didn't love how high he went. Obviously, that's its own conversation. Your boy, your new boy, Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix was the best quarterback, I think, as far as current play in the draft. I think he's the most pro-ready, and that's difficult to say, obviously, because there's so many different things. But the adversity he's handled, the way he commands an offense. He had 2 bad games all year, and they were to the national champion runner-up.
And they got his favorite target, Troy Franklin.
Yeah, his brother.
In the 4th round.
His adopted brother, Troy Franklin, which is an actual true story of when they were going to school together in Alabama. Him and Troy were such good friends that Bo's parents took him in and adopted him. And then Troy went to Oregon, Bo went to Auburn, and then we know they met back up.
Right.
But they were actually adopted siblings. So, yeah, having your best friend there, I'm sure, has to be a great feeling to build that instant connection in a lackluster receiver room for the Broncos that's in a rebuild. But Peyton spoke very highly of him also. Steal is – I don't want to say steal.
Steal of the draft.
Steal of the draft. Verse.
Yeah.
Or not Verse, Fiske. Brandon Fiske or Fisk, however you want to pronounce it, Mel Kiper, from the Florida State Seminoles is the next Aaron Donald. I will go on the record as saying that he is power, speed. I mean, the way he moves laterally, just as big as he is extremely impressive alone. But I think where he went, I thought he should have been in the top 10. People thought I was crazy, but I think you'll see in like 2 years from now, he's an unreal player.
He goes to the Rams at 39 overall in the 2nd round.
Who also got Verse, I believe, in the 1st round.
Yeah, so that's a problem.
Verse wasn't necessarily the steal because he was in the 1st, but Fisk is good.
10 years from now, who will be the best player in the 2024 NFL draft?
Caleb LeCount.
Different draft.
Get out of here.
I have to drop it once a show.
10 years from now?
Or just at the completion of their playing careers. I'm asking you to go on a limb here because I'm recording everything you're saying.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah,
gonna play it
call
back
me. You're gonna call me
20
years from now when they're at their Hall of Fame ceremony and you're some big Hall of Fame writer. I don't want to say Adonai Mitchell. That's the obvious answer, but the situation he's wound up in to be that Tyreek Hill type guy and have Patrick Mahomes in the prime of his career, I think Legette's going to be a very good receiver with the skills he has down in Carolina, which is surprising to a lot of people because I was such a big Bryce Young hater. I think those two stand out immediately, but I mean, Joe Alt's a future Hall of Famer. I'll go out on a limb.
That's a solid pick.
Yeah, it's Joe Alt. Joe, there's no nonsense to him. There was no scandal. There was no conversations about, is he a team? No. It was Joe Alt, captain for 3 years at Notre Dame. 1st round pick. He never had a question about his measurables, his heart, his medical, anything. It's Joe Alt. So I say Joe Alt now confidently, but Graham Barton from Duke will be one of the best players in this draft in 5 years.
Center?
Yeah.
Yep. Offensive lineman. So you're big on the O-line?
I'm big on the O-line. This is the most important. It's like air conditioning.
No doubt. You need them. They're not sexy, but like the Jets, pick one. You got
socks on Christmas, I go. I'm always happy to get socks.
30-second New York Yankees update as we close out your time.
He doesn't know because he can't watch them right now.
This is true.
That is true.
I do have updates though. Aaron Judge needs to move down to the 3-hole or out of the 3-hole and into the 2-hole. Juan Soto needs to be in the 3-hole for more RBIs. Austin Wells is playing really well. He needs to go up into the 5-hole. Most likely him hitting in the 8 makes no sense. I do love them putting Cabrera in 3rd, but when John Birdie comes back, it's going to have to be a tandem situation. Gleyber Torres is possibly the worst second baseman in the American right now. Don't know what happened all of a sudden as far as his hitting goes. Can't wait for Garrett Cole to come back. Carlos Rodon looks fantastic, and Nestor Cortez makes it through the 3rd part of the order these days.
That was like listening to a disclaimer.
And I went on the Price is Right, and I want to do Buggy.
The New York Yankees are 19-12.
Yeah.
They
Sink
are
the ship.
a game behind the Baltimore Orioles, who they're losing to. Joe, it's been a lot of fun, man. This will not be your final appearance on the show, but maybe your final appearance in studio for a while. So we appreciate it, man. It's been fun, and congrats on graduating.
Thanks, man.
Do your thing this weekend. Live it up, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right, that'll do it for Hoist the Colors. Thanks again, Joe Sampson, also Scott Rogers. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. We'll look ahead to the USF Series this weekend for ECU baseball and more. We'll see you then.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors.